Okay, so welcome back, Elaine, to the Zoom room for another Art of Letting Go live session. So, let's have a look at today's email, the quote, and some teaching around that, and then that'll lead us nicely into the insert and the lesson, and then there's a bit of the psychotherapy supplement to do as well. So. All right, so let me share my screen with you. There we go. Right, screen. Okay, so if you can do the quote, read today's quote. First up.
What keeps the world in chains but your beliefs? And what can save the world except yourself? Belief is powerful indeed. The thoughts you hold are mighty, and illusions are as strong in their effects as is the truth.
Yeah, so a great quote from Workbook lesson 132, which tells you just how powerful your beliefs really are. They're as powerful in their effects as the truth because your mind has power, so it gives the belief set holds power when it continually dwells on these beliefs and attaches emotions to them. And then it unconsciously projects these beliefs outside of itself into a seemingly external world that it calls reality and perceives the world as dysfunctional and upsetting. And the cause of the upsetting dysfunction is really its own false beliefs. In this way, it cunningly denies that these false beliefs are the cause of the dysfunction and the consequent upset and blames someone or something else in the world for these instead. So if you're continuously blaming other people and circumstances for your misfortunes, this self-reinforcing cycle of projection of your beliefs onto the screen, or in more scientific terms, a continuum of space-time we call the universe and the world, which we seem to be living, and the perceptions that judge these projections as real, both of those are what make up the seeming reality of the so-called life in this world. This process sounds insane. So you believe something, it's false, you project it out, and you perceive it as real. It's because it is insane. It's a made-up reality. It's an invented reality which we've made up and now we believe in, but it's not true. It's not even there in truth. So the first step out of the prison, this insane prison we've constructed for ourselves, is to recognize the insanity and the imprisonment for what it is. If you think that it's not insane, you think that you're not in prison, then why would you need to escape? So it's to recognize the condition of, yes, it is insane. Yes, within the ego's thought system, I am a prisoner of this world of time and space, and I will suffer and die. The recognition of that then leads to the solution, which is that oneness that says, no, none of this is true. Actually, only oneness is still true. So we're still, we must accept the key point with this teaching is that you must accept full responsibility for the illusion, because it is your decision alone that perpetuates the dream world. Got nothing to do with anyone else. As tempted as you are to blame them, the ego always wants to blame someone or something. It's actually a construct of your own mind, always. And so forgiveness, radical forgiveness, says, well, if that's the case, then the most effective way out of the dream is to just let go of whatever your attachment to these projections is. Because as the attachment seems to happen, you're then are able to let it go and not value what you previously valued. And so there's this letting go effect that happens in the mind, which undoes the ego, which is just a separated self-concept. Second step is to let the insane beliefs that perpetuate the cycle go, because then you're solving the problem at its root, and the manifestations of the problem, all the dysfunctions of your life, must eventually disappear. So awareness that there is a problem is the first step, and then the second step is, well, given that I'm aware it's insane, the only sane thing to do is then let it go and drop it and release it from my mind, release it from my reality, because there's no sanity in it at all. And that's what we're being asked to do with this course. Because then we're solving the problem at its roots, and the manifestations of the problem and all the dysfunctions of your life must eventually disappear. If there are no more problems, there's just pure formless awareness. All problems must then disappear. So if a number of people, many people, let go of their false beliefs in the world, then the collective projection of these beliefs, that is the seemingly external world, must also change. And this is how we change the world, through one person at a time, changing their minds about the world by letting go of their false beliefs about themselves and the world. So opening their minds to true beliefs that they then automatically project onto the exterior quadrants of space-time identified in the integral theory and model that we looked at yesterday, which we have another quick look at. Here it's included in your course pack on page 31, I believe. Yeah, there we go. So there's the integral model. And there's the diagram. So what this is saying is that enough people change their inner world, the subjective world of their own thoughts, emotions, memories, the state of mind, essentially, and the perceptions that arise from it, then this starts to influence the objective seeming reality of the world quite significantly. And it does it integrally. So it's not just you, but you automatically affect the culture in which you come. So you have an impact on that culture. And then this extends out into the interobjective, the its, which is systems and networks and technologies and governments, all the structures in society make things work on the level of form. So if you want to change the external quadrants, you must first change your mind, which is an inside job. You must change the personal sense of self, the subjective I, and everything it perceives first. And then naturally, the results start to extend outwards. So the most powerful way of manifesting is let go, find this deeper awareness, and let the results flow into the rest of your life, so-called life in this world, the objective and the interobjective. Okay, so yeah, any questions on that integral model?
I know, that's good. Yeah, that's good.
It really just maps. It's a map of this territory. It's still an illusion. It's a map of nothingness, but it seems to be something. The external quadrants seem to be everything when you start off on the journey. And slowly but surely, by going within and looking at the inner world, you're able to change the external world. It just sort of happens happens naturally if you really and truly letting go. You just get guidance, and you know what you're meant to do unfolds. So the guidance will come and then that changes your body, your behavior, words, thoughts, not thoughts, words, actions, so on. That's what's immediately objective. All right, so any questions on any of that? Kind of a recap of what we've already covered, recap of the
No,
course's old teaching.
no, that's clear.
Good. So if you're running low on sessions, we are starting to run them live again, but just a few days over Christmas. There's another one which
Mhm.
so
Right.
you can have a look at this Ride the Wild Tiger of Change.
Yeah.
I don't know if you looked at it. It's quite a good session, if I recall. Um,
I haven't, but I'll have
as
a
a
look. Yeah.
as a bonus session, yeah. And that leads us into tonight's live session and today's lesson and insert. So you've got until 9 o'clock, yeah? What's the time
Yeah.
now?
Yes. Yeah.
11, yeah. Okay. So we've got time to do the insert. So let's just jump into insert. Just click on this. Actually, let me open it in here. Um, was I open, but it's because I just closed my PC down. I wasn't very happy just before the call. So 3:26. Okay, there we go. Effective perfect love eternally. Okay, so let's do the insert. Do that in and just read it in the alternative. Actually, may as well just do the whole thing. Sorry, it's an older version. Copy and paste. Okay. There's what is creation. Sort this out. All right, so you can read that in the alternative, Elaine. What is creation?
Creation is the extension of perfect love and the totality of its awareness, infinite and everywhere without any limit. Only perfect love creates or extends, and only like itself. There was no time when all that it extends was not there, nor will there be a time when anything that it extends suffers any loss. Perfect love's awareness is eternally the same, unchanged throughout time and after time is over. So it's just saying that the creation is the extension of perfect love and the totality of awareness, and it's infinite, it's everywhere, and it's got no limits. And there's no time involved with this. It'll be unchanged throughout time and after time is over. So and it'll always be the same, this perfect love's awareness. So
Yeah,
there's no
no.
suffering
It's
or loss.
timeless. It's always there, never changes, and Just to note that the thoughts, God's thoughts, are translated as the totality of its awareness. The sum of all God's thoughts is the totality of its awareness. Because these are not thoughts as we think of thoughts. They're not thoughts about specific things at all.
Mm.
These are, it's just pure awareness. And then from that awareness can come what we call right-minded thinking in this world, where you are being guided by the Holy Spirit and the remembrance of perfect love in your thoughts and your words and your speech. And so that would be a loving, compassionate, happy, kind, joyful reality that that comes from those thoughts that derive from this awareness. But yeah, I think the totality of its awareness is a better translation of God's thoughts, because God doesn't think in the same way as we think.
No.
There's nothing specific about it. So it's actually just the totality of its awareness, which is always there and everywhere and always available. All right, so happy with number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We'll look at number two then.
Okay. Perfect love's awareness is given all the power that its own source has, or it adds to love by its extension, and so its extension shares in this extension and must therefore share in power to extend. What pure formless awareness of perfect love intends to be forever one will still be one when time is over and will not be changed throughout the course of time, remaining as it was before the thought of time began. So it's just about the perfect love's awareness. It's given all the power by the source it has.
Mm. Mm.
So the extension shares this extension, so therefore must share in the power to extend. And this pure formless awareness or perfect love is intends to be forever one and always will be, and throughout the course of time remaining as it was before the thought of time began. It's
it's the same. It's timeless, eternal, transcends time and space entirely, which is shown in this diagram quite well. So we look above the timeline. See all of the experiences that happen on the timeline in average human life, and then above that is this top level of awareness, God, Father, oneness. And so God's thoughts, the sum of all God's thoughts, would essentially be that awareness. That's completely transcendent, goes beyond any of the dramas on the level of form. All right. Happy with number two?
yes.
Number three then?
Being is the opposite of all illusions, for being is the truth. The extension of being is the pure, formlessly aware extension of perfect love, for in being, its awareness is complete in every aspect, making every part container of the whole. Its oneness is forever guaranteed to be perfect and eternally held within its pure formless awareness beyond all possibility of harm, separation, imperfection, and any blemish on its innocence. So it's saying about the being of us is the opposite to all the illusions. The being is the truth of us. So the extension of the being is the pure, formlessly aware extension of perfect love. So for being, its awareness is complete. So it's just part of the container of the whole. It's oneness, guaranteed, perfect, eternal. So there's no possibility of harm or imperfection or problems. It's purely innocence.
Mm. The creation is just this, this absolutely pure state of perfect oneness, and that's our true nature. Just another name for the eternal being that we are, forever, forever as the same, forever guaranteed to be perfect, eternally held in pure formless awareness beyond all possibility of harm, separation, imperfection, and any blemish on its innocence, any spot upon its sinlessness, the original. So, yeah, just reminding us of the inherent perfection that's always been there, but we've denied it. Our task is to invite it back in. Welcome it as us. This is who we are. This is our true being, which we've denied, and now we just need to welcome back what's always been there, but it's been suppressed and denied. All very simple, really. Conceptually simple, but the practice of accepting that you're only this being and nothing else is the work of the at-one-ment. So the ego's convinced you that you are a separate self and has invented an entire reality, the world, to perpetuate that illusion.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, happy with number 3?
Oh, yes, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, you were going to say?
Well, just we have to realize that we don't actually, as an individual, exist. We just say to ourselves, you don't exist. I don't exist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no separate self. That separate self is just an idea in your mind that's false.
Mm.
It has no fundamental existence, which is a radical idea. This is why it's called radical forgiveness, because it goes against the grain of everything in this world that you've learned, the conditioning, the programming, what you've been taught up to now. The world is based on the idea that you are a separate self. You are an individual, and that's the reality. And then you've got to make the best of that individual life that you have, and try and find a way to be happy and successful, make enough money, and get it all right. And inevitably, it's not all right. Even the most successful people fail, and often they are the most unhappy people. So we have to recognize that it doesn't work. The ego's alternative to creation, being, just simply doesn't work. It never creates the same.
There's some people like my sister and her husband. They seem to be very happy in the world of duality and the illusions. It's quite amazing.
Well, they seem to be, but I think seem is probably the
that
word there, because you don't know what's going on in the mind.
No.
You don't know what their thoughts are.
You're
not living with them, so you don't know what their relationship's like. And if you value form, sooner or later that is going to disappoint you. It's inevitable.
mm,
So they will suffer accordingly, according to their attachment to form, because no form lasts. So, the money may not be there always, or even if it is,
I
other
think,
things
yeah, I was going to say, I think they're always going to have their money. Yeah. But yeah.
go. Your health goes, aging, very
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
short-lived.
Yeah.
It's going to
Yeah.
come to an end. And then you have to deal with the inevitability of decay in the form of aging and ultimately death. And then if you just believe in the world of form, that's not a pretty reality to have to face as it approaches.
Mm-hmm.
There's John.
Oh, good.
So I don't believe you can be truly happy. And Yeshua
Good.
is saying the same thing. You cannot be truly happy, authentically happy,
No, no.
unless you have let go of your ego. It's as simple as that. And that
Mm.
requires this kind of understanding, mind training, to do that. Hi, John.
Hi, Jono. Hi, Len.
Hi, John.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
welcome back.
Yeah, Happy New
Yeah,
Year.
we've seen you this year.
Yeah, I haven't seen
I
you.
think we did we see you on did you join
I
on New
did.
Year's Day?
I did. I did actually. Yeah.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
did. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, great. Welcome back. So yeah, we're just reading the insert again. This is answering what is the question, what is creation? So I think we're on number 4. If you want to read that, John,
Yeah.
in the alternative.
Yeah. I'll just say I've got to go at 8 o'clock, but I've got 40 minutes.
Yeah, okay.
As the extensions of perfect love, we are the extension. We seem to be separate and unaware of our eternal unity with it. Yet behind all our doubts and past all our fears, there is still certainty. For love remains with all its thoughts, its sureness being this. Perfect love's memory is in our pure minds, which know their oneness and their unity with their source. Let my function be only to let this memory return, only to let perfect love's awareness come to me and everyone, only to be restored to sanity, and only to be as pure formless awareness of perfect love extending.
Okay, so what's he saying in this one?
So is emphasizing that we are extensions of God, of pure formless awareness, of perfect love, and whatever happens, whatever doubts get in the way, it is always, that connection is always there. And the more we renew with it, the stronger it becomes.
Yeah, good summary. That's our any function. So let this memory return. You have one function here, which is to remember the truth. To remember the truth, then we have to let go of illusions. So letting go becomes our primary function. So the illusion is we seem to be separate, but behind all the separation, behind all our doubts, past all our fears, certainty remains. Because this remains the eternal truth. Always has been, always will be true. Which is very reassuring. So it's always there, can't really destroy it. You only have to accept it back into your awareness. It's always there. Which was talking about the two major teachings on this planet, it's spiritual or personal growth type teachings. The one says you're somehow not good enough, but just dysfunctional, but you can become better, you can grow into a better version of yourself. And that's where a lot of the whole personal growth movement fits in there. And then many spiritual teachings start talking about personal growth and growing, becoming something more. And the problem with that is, well, you're essentially coming from a base of saying, well, I'm not quite enough as I am. And so you're desiring a better self, a better future. So you're caught up in desire, and it's never ending. Because when does the growth stop? When do you finally become, the ultimate article? The truth is never. You'll just keep on that treadmill all the time. Whereas the other major spiritual teaching says it's always been there. The truth is true. It's always been there. You are that truth, and no matter what you think you've done to damage it or destroy it, you haven't done it. It's still there. So you just have to let go of all of your false beliefs and deny it, and it reveals itself. It's always already there, and you are already perfect. And so that kind of changes the paradigm around. Instead of trying to grow into something that you're not, you just have to let go of what you're not and become more and more of what you are, which is much easier to do and possible. Eventually, if you let go of everything, then what remains will be the truth. So that Course in Miracles is obviously the second type, the part of the perennial philosophy that says it's always already there. You just have to accept it back into your mind. Okay, is that clear?
Yeah.
All right, so number 5 then, Elaine, if you can read that.
My source calls to me. I hear its voice and let go of all blocks to the extension of perfect love in the name of its source, pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love its own extension shares, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love is still a part of me and everyone. Well, it's just asking us, well, the source is calling for us, and we need to hear its voice and let go of all the blocks, and realize that, we are still part of it, and everybody else. We're all have this in us. So if we can just let go of the blocks that are not allowing us to experience it.
Exactly. So it's always already there, and my task becomes to let go of the blocks as and when they arise. And as we know, they do arise frequently in this world. But the encouraging message is that, well, beyond them lies peace and happiness. You can always let go if you're willing. So the prayer is just, let me be willing. Let me be willing to let go. Not hold on to these blocks. Okay, so what is creation? Let's ask John then. How would you summarize it, John? What is creation? If you were to answer that question in a minute or under.
Creation is the continuing extension of pure formless awareness in all its many forms.
No, not the many forms is
yeah
part of the illusion. It's just that absolute essence. It's the awareness itself that naturally extends to every living thing, us and every living creature, because they have that awareness. So it's that fundamental awareness, fundamental life essence that comes from source that extends to all beings that seem now to have an independent existence because they live in a body. But the fundamental awareness that gives them life is the same awareness. Everyone has the same life essence. And so that life essence, that awareness is creation. And it seems to be extended in the dream world into these forms. So every form of life has this awareness, otherwise it could not exist. But most of the time it has other awareness as well going. So it has the ego awareness, which then causes the forms to have painful suffering experiences and ultimately die. That has nothing to do with pure formless awareness of perfect love. That's just the ego's block to it. So creation is the fundamental nature, the fundamental being, awareness that we are. That is in everything. And so it's naturally extended, if you want to use that word, to every person and every living creature and plant. It's the awareness without which there would be no life. And notice here, we've chanted the translation. In the original, it was hear his voice, we forgive creation in the name of its creator. So I think that honestly is an error, because you can't forgive creation if it's true. Forgive creation in the name of its creator. No, you can only forgive the false. So that's why I've translated it as I hear its voice. In fact, read that in the
Yeah,
original, then the alternative.
yeah. Our Father calls to us, my source calls to me. We hear his voice and we forgive creation in the name of its creator, holiness itself, whose holiness his own creation shares, whose holiness is still a part of us. I hear its voice and let go of all blocks to the extension of perfect love in the name of its source, pure formless awareness of perfect love itself, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love its own extension shares, whose pure formless awareness of perfect love is still a part of me and everyone.
No. So we forgive creation means I let go of all the blocks to the extension of perfect love in the name of its source. Because you can't really forgive true creation because it's true. So I think that's an error. We forgive creation. That should have been edited out, but they missed that one. Do you agree?
Yeah, when you put it like that, yeah.
Thoughts, comments, or questions on this one?
No, I'm good.
All right, Elaine, happy with what is creation?
Yes, yep.
All right, then. So let's move swiftly on to the lesson. You can read today's lesson, John, I think it's your turn.
Yeah. I am forever an effect of God. Alternatively, I am an effect of perfect love eternally. Actually, I was kind of thinking about this one today, and I kind of I changed effect to extension. I am forever an extension of God, which
Mm.
which felt better to me than effect. Just
Mm.
just kind of felt a bit
Yeah,
more.
yeah. I mean, that's equally valid. I thought the effect was it's an interesting idea. The reason he's used the word is it kind of makes us think a little bit
Hmm.
differently, maybe, about it, and so there's an advantage to that. I'm an effect of this perfect love. Okay, so I'm just the effect of perfect love. If I'm the effect of perfect love, then I can only be as perfect love extends me. There can be nothing else. So Yeshua gives us these lessons just to kind of mix it up a bit and get us thinking maybe in a slightly different way. So to be truly, if you want to make that effective, in the world? How do you be truly effective in the world? You realize your source. You realize that you're always connected to your source, and that your source is really inspiring thoughts, your words, and your actions. That's how you become truly effective in this world. And because you are an effect of God, so God becomes effective through you and your example as well. And so if you play with the word a bit, it starts to become, quite interesting. Because it's also the root word of effective. And everyone's trying to become more effective in it. It's a whole personal growth industry. Well, how do you become more effective in your life, in your business, in relationships, and so on? Mostly they don't talk about, well, what you have to do is connect with your source and realize that you are an effect of that source, and allow that source to do everything through you. So you become the done through. So it's another teaching really in surrender and letting go to this primary intelligence, of which you're an effect. Yeah, but equally valid to say extension of God. That's not wrong at all. And you can use it if, whatever's helpful. All right, so quite a long prayer. So that's Elaine, if you can. No, in fact, John, you read this, because Elaine's already read quite a bit. Read it in the original and then the alternative, please.
Father, I was created in your mind, a holy thought that never left its home. My source, I am extended in your mind, a wholly aware thought that never left its home. I am forever your effect, and you forever and forever are my cause. I am eternally your effect, and you are eternally my cause. As you created me, I have remained. As you extended me, I have remained. Where you established me, I am still. Where you established me, I still abide. Where you established me, I still live. And all your attributes abide in me, because it is your will to have a son so like his cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. And all your attributes live in me, because it is in your awareness to have an extension so like its cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. Let me know that I am an effect of God, and so I have the power to create like you. Let me know that I am an effect of perfect love, and so I have the power to extend like you. And as it is in heaven, so on earth. And as it is in the state of pure formless awareness, so it is on earth. Your plan I follow here, and at the end I know that you will gather your effects into the tranquil heaven of your love, where earth will vanish and all separate thoughts unite in glory as the Son of God. I follow your plan here, and at the end I know that you will gather your effects into the tranquil, pure formless awareness of your perfect love, where earth will vanish and all separate thoughts unite in magnificence as the extension of perfect love.
Okay, from the top, and the alternative.
My source, I am extended in your mind, a wholly aware thought that never left its home. I am eternally your effect, and you are eternally my cause. As you extended me, I have remained. Where you established me, I still live. And all your attributes live in me, because it is in your awareness to have an extension so like its cause that cause and its effect are indistinguishable. Let me know that I am an effect of perfect love, and so I have the power to extend like you. And as it is in the state of pure formless awareness, so it is on earth. I follow your plan here. And at the end, I know that you will gather your effects into the tranquil, pure formless awareness of your perfect love, where earth will vanish and all separate thoughts unite in magnificence as the extension of perfect love.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Nice.
That's
Got a
nice.
nice feel
Nice.
to that paragraph.
Yeah.
So thoughts on that? What's he saying there in summary?
Yeah, well, it's just reinforcing this whole message that we are extensions of pure form of source, of pure formless awareness, and we are ultimately indistinguishable from God, from our source. And it's just an entreaty to reinforce that we are indeed aligned with our source. Until such time as the end of the illusion, when all will merge into one.
Beautiful. So talking about the end of time, the end of the world. All separate thoughts unite in magnificence as the extension of perfect love. So a lofty goal pointing to the ultimate end of time, space, and all separation. So pointing us directly into level 1. If you look at this diagram, that's the top level, transcending the illusion of time, going into this awareness directly. If you look at it this way, it's raising you up above physical events of time and space via your awareness of the true self or the Christ. That prepares you for this, the coming of this pure formless awareness of perfect love, which is what this whole paragraph is really pointing to that state of oneness with this awareness, the revelation, the knowledge that you are this awareness and nothing else. Nothing else is true and nothing else is real. Okay, so any other thoughts on that, John? Elaine, any thoughts on
No, it's good.
this paragraph? Yeah, it's a lovely paragraph.
Yeah.
So we'll do yeah, you said you got till 8 o'clock, so gives us about 15 minutes to meditate on it if you want.
Oh, okay.
Well, it's nice to do it afterwards. Can we not do it after the?
Yeah, John's not going to be with us. John's has to leave.
Okay.
John has to leave at
I don't mind. I'm happy either way, actually. I'm happy to go with
then we can do some of the text of the supplement, but you're going to have to leave after a paragraph or two, John. Up to you. I'll leave it in your hands. If you want to do a med, then we'll do it now. And then
well,
you can med.
I'll tell you what. Let's carry on, and I will listen to the meditation later on the recording.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's great.
All right. So, Elaine, if you can do the paragraph 2, very short. It's just one sentence, actually.
Just the alternative there. Let us today perceive earth disappearing, at first transformed and then completely let go of, fading entirely into pure formless awareness of perfect love. Well, it's a little bit different to the...
Yeah, God's holy will becomes pure formless awareness of perfect love, essentially.
Yeah.
And forgiven becomes completely let go of. So when you completely let go of any attachment to it, still may your perception is not going to disappear as long as you've got a body and physical senses. But at first, it's transformed. Your perception becomes transformed. You no longer perceive this world as reality, so it no longer has the same effect on you. And then by saying that this world, when you say this world doesn't have an effect on you, you become the effect of God. You see, so it's are you at the effect of the world? Are you an effect of the world, which is what the ego is telling you, because it tells you that you're born in a body, so that's an effect of the act of two other bodies, and your whole life is an effect of this a product of this matrix. That's the ego's story. And this idea that you're the effect of God or pure formless awareness of perfect love turns that around, says, no, actually, that's all false. You're not an effect of separation. You're not an effect of other bodies, kind of just some other body produced by an sexual act between two other bodies. You are the effect of God eternally, and you always have been. There's no time when you're not the effect of God. So it's a complete turnaround of the ego's idea of what actually caused you, what you're the effect of. And most people believe that they're born in a body, the effect of their parents. I didn't exist before my parents. My parents got it together. I was born, in this. I'm an effect of two other bodies, essentially, which is a very limited and limiting reality. Of course, bodies die, so parents die, and then if you're very attached to them, they're devastated. Well, now my source is gone. I'm now all alone. Which is just not true. But if you believe that story, then it seems to be true, and it can be very hard for people. So Lynn, I spent a bit of time with Lynn because I was at Sally's, and she's struggling to let go of her dad's death. But it's inevitable. Everyone is at some point going to lose their parents. If you outlive them, so you could die first, and they've got to let go of their attachment to you. So I think we claiming ourselves as the effect of God helps us to undo all of it. So I don't believe in any of it. I'm the effect of God and nothing else. I'm not at the effect of the world in any way, shape, or form. So my birth and my life here and the suffering, the pain, the sickness, and ultimately the death are all unreal because there is no effect other than God's effect, you see. So that's how you deny the whole illusion, which is what he's pointing to here. Earth disappears, at first transformed, so you still stay in perception for a while, but now your perception is awakened perception. You have Christ's vision, which looks on the dream but doesn't judge it as real. And so you can remain happy, peaceful, loving, joyful, even though these things still seem to play out in the level form. You just don't give them any meaning. So the transformation would be the Christ self being rooted in that, first transformed, and then finally completely let go of, and it just fades away into pure formless awareness of perfect love. So again, he's giving us in words this diagram, saying, well, you start off with identifying more and more with the true self and its true perceptions. So your perception is transformed, and then that paves the way for the coming of this awareness, pure formless awareness of perfect love, where earth simply disappears and we fade, the ego fades away, and all that's left is this awareness, which was always there, it's just obscured. So it's just, again, giving us, in a very short sentence, this Holy Trinity model. Okay, so any other thoughts on this lesson? Simple one, but a powerful one.
It's good.
Yeah.
Idea of being effective, perfect love eternally. Yeah, it's a very nice thought. No matter what I think I've done, no matter what mistakes I've made, I'm forever an effective, perfect love eternally. That's never changed. So therefore, do you see how that means there's no sin? I'm forever an effective, perfect love, then idea of sin and guilt and fear and attack, none of those have had any impact on this effect of perfect love. And then by accepting that, I claim it back. And I'm doing the work of at-one-ment and actually becoming the effect of perfect love again, because I've accepted it rather than rejected it. Okay, so good lesson. As always, I'm quite enjoying these. Section 2, this is section 2 of the part 2 of the workbook. It's got a different feel to the first part. Shorter, sweeter, and really just pointing you directly to the truth, which is what I like a lot. Very short. In the sutra tradition of ancient India, just a short paragraph or two which you read, and then that just takes you into a meditative state, which is what the sutras are designed to do. So very much along those lines, to help you to actually experience the states he's pointing to, rather than just study theory. You actually experience these states, and it starts to make a lot more sense to you once you have experienced some of this. And yeah. So let's wrap that one up, shall we? And have a look at the supplements. This is once again looking at the purpose, process, and practice psychotherapy supplement to the course. I think we're on number 13. We did the selection of patients yesterday. So this is 3.2. Is psychotherapy a profession? And there are quite a few, how many paragraphs? It's a long one. 10 paragraphs. So let's just read it. I haven't done any translations for this because it's over the festive season, and then we'll do it next year. But mostly, actually, there isn't too much to translate here. Just guide occasionally comes in. So just do the translation as you go. If there is a word to translate.
Strictly speaking,
Okay.
So is psychotherapy a
Yeah,
profession?
kick it off, John. Paragraph 1.
Strictly speaking, the answer is no. How could a separate profession be one in which everyone is engaged? And how could any limits be laid on an interaction in which everyone is both patient and therapist in every relationship in which he enters? Yet, practically speaking, it can still be said that there are those who devote themselves primarily to healing of one sort or another as their chief function. Can you enlarge it a little bit, John?
Yeah, sure.
Thanks.
Is that big enough?
Yep. And it is to them that a large number of others turn for help. That, in effect, is the practice of therapy. These are therefore officially helpers. They are devoted to certain kinds of needs in their professional activities, although they may be far more able teachers outside of them. These people need no special rules, of course, but they may be called upon to use special applications of the general principles of healing.
Okay, so what's the summary of that? What's he saying?
Actually, I'm interested in number 8, actually. They are devoted to certain kinds of needs in their professional activities, although they may be far more able teachers outside of them. So if I'm a doctor, okay, so say I'm a teacher, I'm a history teacher. So I may be able to give certain help within my role as a history teacher, but I think it's saying, but I might actually be more useful outside of that.
Well, I think it's talking about people who actually devote themselves primarily to healing of one
Ah,
to another as their chief function. So that would be, yeah, some kind of a healer. Maybe they're doing an alternative therapy, like a Reiki, or there's various body therapies, or maybe they're a psychotherapist, psychiatrist, or psychologist, or more dealing with the mind. Um, and so what he's saying here is they might be in their professional activities devoted to meeting certain kinds of needs, depending on what their function is. But they may be far more able teachers outside of it. So give you a good example, actually, because Eckhart Tolle, when he started his spiritual teaching, he had an experience with an ex-nun, and she came to see him, and she sort of experienced a spontaneous healing. He was just sitting kind of in presence with her, and she said, "Oh, I can feel the heat. This is the Holy Spirit. You're a healer. Amazing." Yeah. Eckhart's like, "Okay, really? I didn't do anything. I'm just sitting in presence." And so then sort of word got around, and like then people started coming to him for healing of one sort to another, but primarily physical healing. So, Eckhart, I've got this and this problem. And he said he did it for a while, and then he realized that that wasn't the highest level of healing. The highest level of healing was the healing of the mind. And so he stopped that and said, okay, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm actually going to just teach the truth. And then he wrote the books, and now he's a healer, but he's primarily a spiritual teacher, awakening people. So that would have been an example of exactly what Yeshua's talking about, until he changed it. He said, okay, I'm actually not going to do any kind of professional healing anymore. I'm going to just teach. And so he wrote his book, and now has become a healer of the mind. Okay, and then what else is he saying? These people need no special rules, of course, but they may be called upon to use special applications of the general principles of healing. Special applications in whatever context they're working. So depending on where you're working. So you might, as another example, you might be let's say you're a weight loss counselor, someone who's teach people how to lose weight, Weight Watchers or something like that. So that might be your kind of professional activity. But actually, outside of that, if you understand the course, then you understand why people put on weight and why they have trouble with weight, because it's part of their self-concept. And actually, what's really needed is you help them to let go of their self-concept, which at an average Weight Watchers meeting, they probably wouldn't necessarily be open to, because they're just there to lose weight, they think, on the physical level. So outside of that, if you got deeper into the underlying problem, you could be a lot more effective. It's really what anyone, let's say, with a problem like weight, they have a psychological problem, and that's why they put on weight. It's not primarily a physical problem, and it's not a behavioral problem. They eat too much because of unresolved thoughts and emotions going within them. So that would be another example of how someone could be doing one thing, but then outside of that, they might be actually more effective in their professional capacity. Okay, so any other thoughts on number one?
No, it's interesting.
All right. John, do you want to read number two? And then I think you said you had to go. So
Yeah.
more paragraph.
Yeah. First, the professional therapist is in an excellent position to demonstrate that there is no order of difficulty in healing. For this, however, he needs special training, because the curriculum by which he became a therapist probably taught him little or nothing about the real principles of healing. In fact, it probably taught him how to make healing impossible. Most of the world's teaching follows a curriculum in judgment, with the aim of making the therapist a judge. Interesting. So he's saying
there.
But he's pointing out that the therapist, because they've kind of set themselves up as an authority that others will listen to is well placed to demonstrate the principles, or to demonstrate the principles of the course, but often they don't understand them because they've never been taught them themselves.
Mm.
In fact, they take a default position of judgment and therefore reinforce the illusion.
Mm.
It's interesting actually, because years ago, Nigel, who's my depressed friend,
Mm.
found me a therapist in Bury St Edmunds who and he kind of insisted that he kind of just kept on at me to kind of go meet this guy.
Mm.
and I did, and I went, and I was with him at a time when I was having a hard time. I was trying to get rid of the restaurant that I got myself into, and he was a tremendous help. Was this guy
Mm.
Dennis actually? He was actually a canon at the cathedral, as well as being a
Mm.
Jungian therapist, and
Mm.
he had a real, yeah, I think, the Holy Spirit really kind of worked within him
Mm.
through his therapy.
Mm.
And but Nigel, because he was living elsewhere, he ended up taking on himself. He took on this other therapist, and he never seemed to make any progress. He never seemed to make
Mm.
progress.
Yeah, which
Uh,
might be because Nigel wasn't as open, or the therapist wasn't as inspired.
I don't
Interesting,
think
because you say it was Jungian, because Jung was the closest therapist. His teachings were as more closely aligned, I think, with the course than any other.
yeah.
Certainly
I think
much.
that, well, by coincidence, they were both Jungian therapists.
Mm.
But
Mm.
Dennis, who I was working with, I asked him one day if he knew this other one, and he said yes, he did, but in a way that was, he didn't really want to say anything.
Yeah, obviously didn't rate him, but
No,
he couldn't say I don't rate him because
no,
unprofessionally, yeah.
yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't want to. He didn't want to go into
Mm.
it. Yeah.
This last one is quite interesting. Most of the world's teaching follows a curriculum in judgment, the aim of making the therapist a judge. So I think too often that's what therapists do.
Yeah.
They'll judge their patients. They
Yeah.
set themselves above the patient. They go, okay, well, you're this and you this, and they box them and they label them. Okay, well, you're this and you've got this condition. So, okay, out of my box of tools, this is how we treat this condition because that's what I've learned. Okay, so, here's the therapy, whatever it may be, often a drug if you're a psychiatrist or whatever. And that wouldn't be then inspired by the Holy Spirit. A true therapist would be very intuitive and very able to listen to whatever's arising and follow guidance and give whatever's needed in a session. It sounds like the guy you visited was had that approach, which is why it was so effective.
Mm.
Then
Yeah.
possibly laid the groundwork for the course, because that was before you came to the course.
Oh,
Right?
yeah. Long time before that. Yeah.
Hmm. So those ideas, the Jungian idea of, although everything's a projection of your mind, and so you are seeing your reflections or projections in the mirror that is the relationship or is whatever the situation is. That is a classic course teaching, isn't it? That's
Mm.
why they're very closely aligned. Where the Jungians maybe go a little bit wrong is I think they focus a bit too much on the dream analysis and
Yeah.
get into
Yeah. Well,
who's real.
yeah. Yeah. Although his big focus was acceptance, actually,
Yeah. Mm.
and acceptance in the form of forgiveness, really, I suppose.
Yeah, well, it means really that's what it means. Acceptance means I'm able to accept the unacceptable because I've let go of it. You
Yeah,
can only accept it. If you make it real, how can you accept it? It's always going to traumatize you. You accept a deeper reality, essentially. So that's really what he's talking about in here. If you look at the lesson, this is about accepting this other reality that you are an effect of perfect love, accepting the state of pure formless awareness as your true reality. It's all about letting go. It helps you to accept truth, ultimate reality. So that's what's really meant by acceptance. Even if it's used in a context of, oh, well, you've got to accept the unacceptable, accept difficulties and problems and whatever, because actually you have to accept the reality beyond them to be able to accept them. And I think Jung understood and therefore understood that letting go was the answer. And so not really saying anything different from what Yeshua was saying, just maybe didn't use the same terminology. He used synchronicity rather than miracles and acceptance rather than forgiveness. But it's just six of one and half a dozen of another. They're really the same thing, just termed differently. Okay, so any other thoughts
yeah,
on number two? Don, if you have to go,
yeah.
that's fine.
Okay, well, okay. Thanks a lot, Jono. Thanks, Lane.
All right, see you tomorrow.
Bye,
I hope
John.
we're gonna do. Oh, it's gone already. Okay, I'm gonna do an afternoon session tomorrow, starting at 12:30.
Okay. I'm on
All
to
right,
3.
number three. Yeah, even this.
Even this, the remembrance of perfect love can use and will use, given the slightest invitation. The unhealed healer may be arrogant, selfish, unconcerned, and actually dishonest. He may be uninterested in healing as his major goal. Yet something happened to him, however slight it may have been, when he chose to be a healer. However misguided the direction he may have chosen, that something is enough. Sooner or later, that something will rise and grow. The patient will touch his heart, and the therapist will silently ask him for help. He has himself found a therapist. He has asked the remembrance of perfect love to enter the relationship and heal it. He has accepted the atonement for himself.
Hmm.
So the remembrance of perfect love can be given the slightest invitation, and then this is when, so the unhealed healer may be arrogant, selfish, may be uninterested, but something has obviously happened. So even though it's slight, it might be enough to make him go towards the pure formless awareness therapy.
Hmm. I was saying if someone is caught up in the ego and they're a therapist, at some point often they will shift. So if you're in the domain of therapy, which is really healing, and at some point something touches your heart. Maybe it's one particular patient, one particular case, and that opens then the therapist up. And having spoken to therapists, I think some of them have they've definitely experienced that kind of thing. They go, that particular case, that particular person was very significant for them in their own life. They often have something like that, and then that's part of their own awakening.
Yeah.
they're open to it. You know, I think there are some therapists who still just stone cold. They just, you know, treat
Go through the motion.
patients as numbers, and so
Yeah.
okay, you know, and then it becomes a business. It's about how many patients can I see a day, how much money can I make, you know, always little work,
It
and
misses the
you know, there
point,
are
yeah.
those.
Yeah,
It completely misses the point. But it, you know, it's just churn. Okay, the more patients I can see a day, the more I make, and then, you know, they start working out how much that is going to get them per year, and then, you know, I need to invest it so I can go to retirement strategy, and I need to put my kids through school, and you know, it becomes all about that rather than about, hang on, it's really about, you know, I'm actually primarily a healer, and that's my job, and yes, I get paid for it as well, but you know, my function is to be a healer, rather than you know, running a business. I think that's where a lot of therapists lose it,
Yeah.
particularly in the, you know, formal medical model. Let's say you're a psychiatrist or psychologist. Very easy to just go, okay, it's just a numbers game. Another patient. Okay, all right, then, you know, whatever. Here's the prescription. Go get your drugs. Next, please.
Yeah.
And they just do that hundreds of times. You know, they make money, but there's no heart and soul.
No. Yeah. Seen
No
them
genuine
over.
caring.
Yeah. Seen lots of those. Yeah. Yeah.
But he's saying, even, you know, even in this case, unhealed healer may be arrogant, selfish, unconcerned, and actually dishonest. Even those callous characters can, you know, find their way through the therapy to the light. So at some point, maybe something touches them. Maybe their own, you know, lack of compassion and empathy becomes too hard to cope with. I can't face myself, and you know, I'm actually callous and cold, and I realize that, and I have to change. Not easy, you know, if you got yourself into that, being a dishonest therapist, an unhealed healer, to change, because you have to fundamentally really question your integrity, don't you? Say, well, actually, I've been faking it all along. Thought I was a healer, but actually, I'm fake, really. I'm just taking people's money, and I have no interest in healing. That can't be an easy thing to do.
Yeah.
No,
Not nice at all. It's not. Bit of a soulless job, yeah.
Well, it doesn't have to be. I mean, it can be filled with, you know, every day you're seeing people who need help.
Everybody's got their own,
filled with love and compassion. But I think too often the medical model seems to encourage, people to, the therapists just to cut themselves off and go, okay, you know, that's it. I'm going to become emotionless, which then would breed the unhealed healer. A lot of doctors have been accused of being arrogant, selfish.
Yeah.
The system tends to breed that. And you said you were quite shocked at you know, how they were taking care of. Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were soulless. Yeah, she was just a number. Oh yeah.
Because the system breeds that. It's like, well, there's so many patients, and you know, just another patient with a bed, and it's okay. Well, you know, we're very mechanistic. Let's just do what we need to do to get you out of here. We need the bed for someone else.
Get the money, and then I know that's what happened. But it might be an opportunity for Sally to wake up.
Yeah, well, exactly. So that's her own projection. Yeah, that's her own, you know, her own lack of belief in spirit was mirrored to her by the system that was then seemingly unfairly treating it. And so, you know, she could realize that it's really just her own belief in this false self that's the problem. And let it go, then the experience would have been, you know, would be well worthwhile to learn from it. All right, so number 4.
Pure formless awareness, or shall we say perfect love, is said to have looked on all it created and pronounced it good.
It extends. All that extends. Created as extends.
Oh, extends and pronounced it good. It declared it perfect, and so it was. And since its extensions do not change and last forever, so it is now. Yet neither a perfect therapist nor a perfect patient can possibly exist. Both must have denied their perfection, for their very need for each other implies a sense of lack. A one-to-one relationship is not one relationship, yet it is the means of return, the way perfect love chose for the return of his.
Pure God is pure formless awareness, the perfect love, as the full.
Okay, I thought you was happy enough with just perfect love, so it didn't sort of.
Perfect love is if it's possessive. So if it was perfect love's, if it was God's, possessive, then we change it. If it's just God in the middle of a sentence like that, pure formless awareness of perfect love chose, then they're all translated as the full version.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's all pointing to the same thing. Remember, the words just point you to the same reality, whether you call it perfect love or pure formless awareness or pure formless awareness of perfect love. I just use the full one because it's quite comprehensive. It's like pure formless awareness of perfect love. Okay, so what does that actually mean? It's an awareness of perfect love. Okay, so that's what God is, just an awareness of perfect love. The love is a very powerful word. So that's why I think it, in the Bible even says God is love. So that's why I incorporated. Anyway, we digress. So
in that strange dream, a strange correction must enter, for only that is the call to awake. And what else should therapy be? Awake and be glad, for all your sins have been forgiven you. This is the only message that any two should ever give each other.
Yeah, so all your sins have been released, essentially. There's no sin because you're already perfect. All your sins are released. And that was probably the greatest healer ever lived. That was Yeshua's message. Whenever he healed people, said, your sins are forgiven. And that was what, that understanding, when they believed that understanding created such a huge shift mentally and emotionally and in their body, that these extraordinary healings happen. Okay, so any other thoughts on that one? One-to-one, what is he saying in that one?
Pure formless awareness, or God, is said to have looked on all of his creations. Just saying that it's all good. There's no because
it's all perfect, but he's saying in the illusion of the relationship between the patient and the therapist, obviously they don't believe in that perfection yet, otherwise they wouldn't need to be in this healing relationship. Yet the relationship is the means of return, so they can return to this perfect awareness via the learning that they have in this holy relationship. That's what he's saying. So it's the one relationship is the means for the healing to take place in that strange dream of this world. A strange correction must enter, for only that is the call to awake. Strange correction. So the letting go, the forgiveness is a strange correction. It's not needed in heaven. It's unknown in heaven. In this world, we strangely seem to have to let go of that which isn't true in order to become aware of what's true. And then he's saying, finally, this is the only message that any two should ever give each other. That your sins are forgiven, you're released, because you're perfect. If you're already perfect, then there can be no sin. Do you see how the perfection and the letting go work hand in glove? You can't have one without the other. You let of all blocks to the awareness of love's presence because you understand. So you can let go and be confident that there's something to replace what you're letting go. So, yeah, the letting go and the metaphysics of this, saying this perennial philosophy of awareness, God, love, always being there, they go hand in hand. So if it's always there, then all you need to do is let go of what blocks it and obscures it. But if it's not always there, then letting go is pointless. If you have to grow into it, become it, and create it and invent it, then letting go is pointless, do you see? Because it's a different mindset that you need to grow and invent and create, isn't it?
Mm.
And that's why these two philosophies don't meet, don't ever agree. The perennial philosophy and the personal growth philosophy are at odds. They'll never agree on the way. Perennial philosophy says letting go is the only way. Personal growth says no, growth. You must grow and become something more than what you are. And exactly how you're going to do that is not always specified, but there's various modalities that have been invented, there's various ideas, teachings. Usually it involves becoming something more in form, in your form identity. Okay, or you can become, whatever you want to become, like a movie star, something more expanded than you currently are, like Forrest Gump's girlfriend. No, I want to become a movie star, something more than I am now. That's exactly what the growth philosophy teaches. More illusion, in other words. I think I'll be happier in a better illusion. And the whole, movie was there showing, well, you're not. She was very unhappy. Pursuing this goal led her to all kinds of not very nice situations and encounters and relationships. Because fundamentally, she had not accepted who she really was. She hadn't let go of her trauma. So that was blocking everything she did, was tainted by that childhood trauma of being abused. And she couldn't overcome that. Until maybe right at the end, it was a healing, because I think she finally accepted. When she married Forrest, she finally accepted, okay, it's very simple. I'm going to go with what he believes. And she found some peace, and then she died because her lifestyle had been so problematic that she got AIDS. So too late. But she finally came around. Remember, a few years before, he'd asked her to marry her, and she couldn't. She hadn't let go enough.
No.
And then finally she was like, okay, I can actually let go of that old identity and the seeking and just accept the simplicity of what he stands for as, that's actually what I want. So yes, I'll marry him because it's beautiful and simple and pure. And, my life has been anything but that. That's what I want. Well, okay. So happy to move to number 5 then.
Something good must come from every meeting of patient and therapist, and that good is saved for both against the day when they can recognize that only that was real in their relationship. At that moment, the good is returned to them, blessed by the Holy Spirit as a gift from their Creator, as a sign of His love.
Their source, remember to translation. So the Holy Spirit's the remembrance of perfect love.
Oh, yeah, sorry, I'm not translating. Sign of His love, of its love. For the therapeutic relationship must become like the relationship of the source and the extension. There is no other, for there is nothing else. The therapists of this world do not expect this outcome, and many of their patients would not be able to accept help from them if they did. Yet no therapist really sets the goal for the relationships of which he is a part. His understanding begins with recognizing this and then goes on from there.
Yeah. So, thoughts on that?
It's just again about the patient and the therapist. That how if they recognize not only what is real in their relationship, and this is then when they can return to their remembrance of perfect love, a gift from their extension.
Mm.
But the therapists of this world don't expect this outcome. So then the patients would not be able to accept help from them either.
From them if they did. So if they said to the patient, well, really what we've got to do is deconstruct your self-concept. That's my goal. The patient might go, what? I don't want that. I came to you because, I've got a few emotional problems, or I'm depressed, or whatever. I didn't come to, that's too much. So then they wouldn't have patience. This is what he's saying.
Mm.
Oh, midnight to 3:30.
Yeah. Okay.
And tomorrow at 4 to 6.
All right. Thanks, man. So he's been informed about the load shedding schedule.
Oh, right. Yes, of course.
Scheduled power cuts, but fortunately, we've still got some lights on the internet because we've got an
Right.
inverter, so it's not catastrophic. You can manage
No.
for
Yeah.
a couple of hours without it. Okay. So, anything else on number 5? No therapist. I think a key point there is also the idea that the relationship of the therapist and the patient should become like the relationship of the father and the son, the source and its extension. So the therapist if the therapist is truly healed, they become representative of the source and they extend to the patient, who then receives healing via the therapist. And that's what every relationship must become ultimately. But he's saying, practically speaking, in the world, often it's not. It's very far from that. And concludes with, yet no therapy goes on from there. So I don't really, it's not my goal, not my will, but that will be done. It's an idea. So listen to the guidance, listen to the Holy Spirit, remembrance of perfect love. Okay. Happy to move on to 6.
It is in the instant that the therapist forgets to judge the patient that healing occurs. In some relationships, this point is never reached, although both patient and therapist may change their dreams in the process. Yet it will not be the same dream for both of them, and so it is not the dream of forgiveness in which both will someday wake. The good is saved, indeed is cherished, but only little time is saved. The new dreams will lose their temporary appeal and turn to dreams of fear, which is the content of all dreams. Yet no patient can accept more than he is ready to receive, and no therapist can offer more than he believes he has. And there is a place for all relationships in this world, and they will bring as much good as each can accept and use. So when the therapist forgets to judge, this is when the healing can occur. But this doesn't always get reached to that point because they're still in the dream. It's not
Yeah.
necessarily the
So
same
often
dream.
the dream will change. So a lot of therapy involves changing the dream. And Jungians talk about dream analysis. Or you'll go, okay, we'll have a happier dream, have a better dream. Let's try and reorient you. Let's let go of the past and focus on a better dream for your life. What do you want to do? What do you want to accomplish? And so on. So the dream can change, and temporarily that might seem to be healing, but he's saying is ultimately all dreams are a fear. So your new dream will at some point turn sour because it's a dream. It's an illusion. It doesn't have the quality of eternal reality that you're really looking for. So I'm saying, be aware of the replacing one dream with another and thinking that that's healing, because it's not. The only true healing is the letting go of the self-concept of being a separate individual human self. That's the true healing, and that's what psychotherapy is really about. Which then involves a complete letting go of judgment. Okay, so number 7.
Yet it is when judgment ceases that
Did
healing
we do 6? Did we do
Yes,
6?
just done it, yeah.
6. Hmm.
Yet it is when judgment ceases that healing occurs, because only then it can be understood, and there is no order of difficulty in healing. This is a necessary understanding for the healed healer. Yeah, is that? Oh, and then next bit, yeah. He has learned that it is no harder to wake a brother or companion from one dream than from another. No professional therapist can hold this understanding consistently in his mind, offering it to all who come to him. There are some in this world who have come very close, but they have not accepted the gift entirely in order to stay and let their understanding remain on earth until the closing of time. They can hardly be called professional therapists. They are the saints of pure formless awareness of perfect love. They are
So
the
there,
savior.
Elaine, in that instance, you would use perfect love, because otherwise it's a bit clumsy. The saints of pure formless awareness of perfect love is 2 ofs. So you'd say the
Yeah,
saints of perfect love, because that just is
yeah,
a lot
yeah,
smoother.
got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. They are the saviors of the world.
Yeah, what saviors?
Can't remember.
Starts with an A.
A, the awakeners.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the
Um,
awakeners of the world.
They are the awakeners of the world. Their image remains because they have chosen that it be so. They take the place of other images and help with kindly dreams.
Hmm. Yeah, so what's he talking about here? The
Well,
healed
it's when,
healer.
yeah, once judgment ceases, then this is when there's no order of difficulty in healing. But it is a necessary understanding for the healed healer.
Yeah. And once you've attained that level, you could hardly be called a professional therapist. And generally you wouldn't. He's talking here about, awakened beings like Yeshua, the Buddha, who are still here in form for a while to do the work of the Enlightenment. And they have not accepted the gift entirely in order to stay and let their understanding remain on earth until the closing time. So I don't know if you've heard of the bodhisattva idea in the Buddhist teaching.
I've
The
heard
idea
of
of the
it, but
bodhisattva, who's the body means awakened. So awakened knowledge, bodhisattva is awakened knowledge. So that person who's awakened to knowledge. And the idea of the bodhisattva is that they don't leave and just go into nirvana. because they have healing work to do in this world. So they stay and they come back, reincarnate as the bodhisattva to do that as their service to those who are unawakened, to help them wake up. So the saints of God, he's talking about the saints of perfect love. The equivalent in the Buddhist teaching would be the bodhisattvas of the world, who are the awakeners of the world, and their image remains because they've chosen that it be so. Take the place of other Yeshua. The image remains, doesn't it? We still go, okay, there's the Buddha and he was a man, and these were his teachings. And Yeshua, he was the well, some people believe he's the only son of God, but he came, he was an awakened being, he was enlightened, and he had this whole story, and we know that. And so they left their image, which will be there eternally. The memory of them is related to that image. Actually, the truth of what they taught will always remain. So they're just the image, the symbol of that truth in the dream. And that's what he's referring to here. As, these are the advanced teachers of God, the awakened ones. We haven't fully transcended yet. That's why they're still here, but they're very close to doing so. And they choose to stay and remain here to teach for a while, because that's the only thing you can do here. Out of compassion and love for their fellow beings, they remain to teach, to help them. Okay, so any other thoughts on that?
No, that's good.
Okay, so number 8.
Once the professional therapist has realized that minds are joined, he can also recognize that order of difficulty in healing is meaningless. Yet well before he reaches this in time, he can go towards it. Many pure instants or innocent instants can be
Moments, translate as a moment, many pure moments.
Oh, many pure moments can be his along the way. The goal marks the end of a journey, not the beginning, and as each goal is reached, another can be dimly seen ahead. Most professional therapists are still at the very start of the beginning stage of the first journey. Even those who have begun to understand that they must do may still oppose the setting out. Yet all the laws of healing can be theirs in just an instant. The journey is not.
Translate instant.
Oh yes,
moment, just
in a moment. The journey is not long, except in dreams. So once the
only
therapist,
the dream, it seems to drag out, but actually it can happen instantly, and it has happened for some people instantly. They just get it and they awaken, often after many years, but in that moment, suddenly a huge shift. Eckhart Tolle, example, Byron Katie, another one, just suddenly something switched and they just got it, and their whole old self just dropped away. Undone, they entered in a new life. Okay, so any other comments on number 8?
or just realizing that all minds are joined. Once this professional therapist recognizes that the order of difficulty in healing is meaningless in the level of form.
And he says, but most professional therapists are still at the very start of the beginning stage of the first journey. In other words, they're just in kindergarten. It's just kind of
Yes.
getting out the starting blocks, not really having much idea, and yet they're professional therapists at the so-called the top of their game. So you can imagine, if one of those type of therapists was reading this, they might have to really humble themselves and go, you're saying I'm just a beginner. Hang on, I've got 30 years of, I've studied for 10 years, got 30 years experience. How can he say that? Because he's speaking from an eternal perspective of someone who's awakened from time and space entirely. That's why he can say that. It's like you're still asleep. You've just begun the journey of awakening. So, therapists are certainly not the be all and the end all, but they can be very helpful if they tapped into the Holy Spirit and they're doing healing work. Then they can be very helpful to their clients. Until they, the clients then start doing the work themselves and accepting the alignment for themselves. As, say, example, John, he had that intervention, really helped him, and that put him on a track where, he came to A Course in Miracles years later, and he's still studying it. So that was probably, it was all part of his at-one-man plan, that engagement, intervention by the therapist. Okay. Happy with number 8. Let's go to number 9 then. 2 more paragraphs.
The professional therapist has one advantage that can save enormous time if it is properly used. He has chosen a road in which there is great temptation to misuse his role. This enables him to pass by many obstacles to peace quite quickly. If he escapes the temptation to assume a function that has not been given him. To understand there is no order and difficulty in healing, he must also recognize the equality of himself and the patient. There is no halfway point in this, either they are equal or not. The attempts of therapists to compromise in this respect are strange indeed. Some realize the relationship merely to collect bodies to worship at their shrine, and they regard as healing. And this they regard as healing. Many patients, too, consider this strange procedure as salvation. Yet at each meeting, there is one who says, "My companion, choose again."
What's he saying in this one?
Well, the therapist does have one advantage, to save an enormous amount of time, but he has chosen a road in which there is great temptation to misuse this role. But this enables him to pass by many obstacles. But this is when he can pass,
what he's talking about here is the temptation to be superior to the patient, to say I'm somehow different from you, separate, above you. So I'm administering my teaching or therapy or healing, they define it, to you, but I'm not equal to you. And that is obviously not a healing approach, because healing comes from oneness. As he says, there's no compromise in this. You can't be somewhat separate and somewhat one. Either they're equal or they're not. So that's the non-dual teaching. You either accept that you're completely one and equal with everyone else, including those you're teaching or healing, or you must believe that you're somehow different and separate from. And then if you believe that, then that's going to play out as, well, if I'm a therapist, of course I'm very superior. You see that a lot. I saw it I've spent some time in the mental health industry. couple of months. Psychiatrists were like God in that system. Psychiatrists were like top of the tree, and they would a lot of them would have believed that they are superior to their patients, not just to their patients, they're superior to the staff, to the hospital staff, to the nurses, to all the support staff, because they're at the top of the tree. They kind of rule the roost. And of course, if that's the case, which I think it largely is, these huge egos are now the chief healers of this institution. There's not going to be any genuine healing because they're believing in separation and acting on that. So that's an example. So some collect merely, to collect bodies to worship at their shrine. This they regard as, okay, so the more patients, the merrier. Okay, well, no, really good doctor. That's that materialist paradox coming here. Well, I must be a better therapist because I've got more patients. And many patients might also consider this, oh, no, this doctor's really good because he's got 1,000 patients. So I need to go to him because he's obviously knows his stuff, because all those people can't be wrong. I'm saying, this is actually very strange. Yet the Holy Spirit is always there saying, my brother, choose again. You don't have to believe in this. Both the therapist doesn't have to believe it, neither does the patient. They could drop it and realize that they are actually one. But how many psychotherapists, psychiatrists, etc., do you know like that? Like, no, actually, I'm just one with you. I'm the same. I'm nothing special. I'm nothing different. Because you have to have humbled yourself completely and disidentified from your apparent roles. Well, I'm, the therapist, and I've got 10 years of studying behind me and 20 years of experience. So yeah, it must be, if that's what you identify with as your self concept, then you must be more special than the patient who doesn't have that. Then equality goes out of your mind, and you think that you're more special than they are. And then there's no genuine healing. As I said, I think I mentioned this before, the best compliment I ever got as a teacher was someone said, it's like when you teach, it doesn't feel like you're anything different or special or above us. He said, it just feels like you're equal. And you're just, we're just having a chat. It's like, equals chatting about interesting stuff. Best compliment I ever, because that's exactly what you want to be. Not setting yourself apart and making yourself superior to your patients, even though I was, facilitating a retreat and teaching them. It was done in the spirit of oneness. Okay, so then finally it says you can choose again. My brother, choose again and change your mind. So there's always that opportunity for both patient and therapist at any point. A lot of the time they don't, but that choice is available. And sometimes something happens and there's a catalyst for it. They have some experience that opens the door in their mind, and then realization comes, an epiphany or a moment of satori, as they call it in the Zen tradition. Okay with number 9, so last paragraph. Number 10.
Do not forget that any form of specialness must be defended and will be. The defenseless therapist has the strength of God with him, but the defensive therapist has lost sight of the source of his awakening.
Yeah, the strength of perfect love. That's where you'd use perfect love, because it'd be the strength of pure formless awareness of perfect love is clumsy. So strength of perfect love.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. He does not see and he does not hear. How then can he teach? Because it is the will of perfect love that he take his place in the plan for awakening, because it is the will of perfect love, or pure formless awareness of perfect love, that his patient be helped to join with him there, because his inability to see and hear does not limit the remembrance of perfect love in any way, except in time. In time, there can be a great lag between the offering of the acceptance of healing. This is the veil across the face of the true self.
And the face is?
Sorry? This is the veil.
What is?
Oh, face, identity.
Yeah, well done, yeah. This is the veil across the identity of your true self.
Yet it can be but an illusion, because time does not exist, and the will of pure formless awareness of perfect love has always been exactly as it is.
So you can drop will there. Will of God is just pure formless awareness, perfect love. Will is awareness.
Yeah.
The will of perfect love, the will of God is the pure formless awareness of perfect love, which has always been exactly as it is. Never changed. It's just that fundamental awareness. So will, we tend to translate will as the will to do something, the will to act. That's our sort of modern understanding of the word, but actually it means awareness. The will of God is the awareness of perfect love. Pure formless awareness, if you want to add that in. Pure formless awareness of perfect love that has always been exactly the same, exactly as it is, never changed. And you just have to accept it to be healed and saved. Okay, so yeah. Anything else in that paragraph?
Well, it's about the specialness, isn't it? And not to forget the form of specialness must be defended. The defenseless therapist has the strength of pure the source of the
I'm saying in time there's this time lag, and it can be procrastination and delay between the offering and the acceptance of healing. Some therapist might offer the healing, patient doesn't want to accept it. Some way, look at an example of you and Sally. And you're the therapist in that relationship. She's the patient. There's a great lag. She's not willing to accept what you're saying is the truth and allow herself to be healed. There's a stubborn resistance. So in time, that seems to be happening. But he's saying, actually, look beyond it, look beyond time, beyond the veil of that illusion, and you will see it's just an illusion. That the face of Christ, the identity of perfect love, is still there. It's in her. She's just not aware of it yet. So that's okay. She will become aware of it at some point, because it's inevitable. It's her true awareness. She must. Eventually, every mind must become aware of its true awareness. Okay. So just to summarize this, what would you say are the key points?
Well, it's just, again, the therapist and the patient are going nowhere unless they're really in the right mind of perfect love.
That they join. The whole point is to join as one to heal the separation. So they shouldn't perceive themselves as separate. And generally they won't perceive themselves that way to start with. But then the relationship purpose of it is to heal that misperception and come to the realization that they actually really are one in and through the psychotherapy that's undertaken.
Mm.
And then the other therapist becomes advanced. If they're teaching that, they're advanced therapists, advanced teachers, God of perfect love, who are here to awaken humanity. And they might be doing it. And then, as a professional therapist, there might be a healer of sorts, a Reiki healer. There's many forms of it in the world. Okay, so yeah, any other thoughts on that one, Elaine? Comments, questions, thoughts?
Yeah, no, it's very, very good. Yeah, well explained.
Yeah. I think the key thing is, even if you're not a professional therapist, and most people who read this won't be, you still have a therapist in any relationship where someone is in need of healing. Become the therapist. So then these teachings apply. Just got to remember that you're nothing separate or different or special, more special than the person who's coming to you for healing.
Mm.
If you can do that, then you'll be a good therapist in any
Mhm.
context. So he who humbles himself, as Yeshua said, he who humbles himself will be made a great therapist. Yeshua, if you look at this example in the Bible, and it's demonstrated well in The Chosen, he's a magnificent therapist. He was giving therapy all the time, which also healed people physically, but he was primarily a therapist. You see him comforting people in distress, going, okay, I understand where you are, brother. Okay, understand, but listen to me. I've got another way of looking at it. And he's trying to help them out of that dark place and their delusion of being in that dark place as a separate self through whatever means are necessary. Sometimes it's healing, teaching, preaching. Sometimes I saw the last episode of the last series, he asked one of the Pharisees who was, his avowed enemy. And he says, I see you troubled, my brother. Come and pray with me. It's like, well, that could work. He'll come and pray to God because that's in his understanding and tradition. So then he offers him a form of healing that will help him
Mhm.
to the extent that he's willing to be helped. All right. So, any other thoughts on that? Otherwise, should we close it there? Do you want to do a meditation, or you said you had to go at?
And yeah, no, I'm going to close it now. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
But
I'll leave it there.
I'll listen to the meditation tomorrow if you want to do.
No, I'm not going to guide it.
No.
There's a recording already. There's a meditation on
All
today's
right. Yeah.
lesson already. You can
Yeah,
listen to that if you want to. But
Yeah, I'll do that just so that it sort of reaffirms.
quite
Yeah.
tired myself. So I did yoga, so I'm a bit whacked.
Yeah,
It's
me
an
too.
hour in the heat. I
Yeah,
still haven't recovered from my 2 nights without sleep. So
of course,
I'm
of course.
good.
It's jet lag.
Yeah.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, tomorrow
Okay.
hopefully is a big day. Get to steal to work, so
Oh,
we'll
let's
hopefully
hope. Yes. Yeah. Watch this space. Yeah.
So speaking of which, tomorrow afternoon at
12:30, you were saying.
12:30 your time, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
2:30 my time, yeah. 12:30.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
Gives
good.
me most of the day to work on other stuff. And then,
Yeah.
and then I have to go at about 4-ish, 4 o'clock, So
Yeah, no, that's
12:30
good.
to 4.
That's the time I do my routine with the animals and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
All right, thanks, Elaine.
Okay.
All right,
Thank you.
good session.
Good session. Namaste. Good night.
Night. All right, so thank you to John and Elaine for joining. It's a wrap for tonight. See you again tomorrow at it's 12:30 UK time, 2:30 South African time in the Zoom room. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel so you're notified whenever I go live, and please do that. Hit the subscribe button. You can also join us for a free masterclass, which will be happening on Sunday evening. So go to theaolg.com, that's theaolg.com to find out more about that and register if you're interested in this program. We're starting it again in February, and it's a one-year program to really study A Course in Miracles in a very in-depth, thorough way. So join the masterclass to find out more. And finally, if you want to get some of the material I shared up front, the email, the quotes, daily lesson, and little mini meditation every day, go to lifepool.com and register there. So all the links should be below in the text box on this YouTube video. You just click the links and do your thing. So I hope to connect with you soon. Namaste, which means the true self in me, Christ in me. It acknowledges and honors that same true self, Christ in you. Peace.